All right, MVPs. Next fight on the prelims is Nick Klein versus Andrey Pulyaev. This is probably the closest fight on the card as far as the odds go. Andrey Pulyaev is a minus 150 favorite, and Nick Klein is a plus 125 underdog. So we'll start with Nick Klein. He's 6-2 in his career. All right, 6-2. He lost once on the regional scene. He was knocked out, and then he lost the last time we saw him in the cage against Mansour Abdulmalik, and he got knocked out. Mansour Abdulmalik is a crotch sniffer. There's no hype on Mansour Abdulmalik anymore because we watched him get just embarrassed by Cody Brundage, okay? So we look at Nick Klein, and he looks confused in this picture. He looks whatever. The last time we believed in him because he was a plus 700 underdog. And we said we got to take it. I can't take the minus 1,400 dude because there's no money in taking this guy, right? So he goes in there, and I'm like, he's a plus 700 underdog. Fingers crossed. I hope he does something. And he does a spinning back elbow and shocks the world because he almost knocks out Mansour Abdulmalik. Almost beats him. And it's just one of those things where almost doesn't really count. Almost does not count, bro. Horseshoes and hand grenades, right? Almost doesn't count. Nick Klein has to do something remarkable and crazy. And if you go back and watch his fights, he's a jiu-jitsu nerd. And he's got to do something remarkable and crazy. In his Contender Series back in October, he fell into a submission 37 seconds in. This guy won in 37 seconds. I'm telling you, he doesn't have cardio. He was absolutely exhausted in the second round. Now, Mansour Abdulmalik is enormous, very muscular, and will put it on you. And maybe the nerves got to him in a debut, and he was just gassed. But it was just a desperation. He just looked like he was falling over everywhere. He wasn't even standing up straight, defensively responsible, or anything like that. He was just falling over everywhere. It's weird. His whole stance and posture just didn't look natural. And what it is he's not a natural striker. He's a jiu-jitsu nerd. Big. They say he's big, right? He's 6'1", 186. Yeah, he's small, bro. He's small. He looked big because he was fighting a shorter guy with all these muscles, but he's small. And especially against Andrey Pulyaev. Now, I'm going to show you guys what I said about Andrey Pulyaev in the results show because I don't think I can do it justice. So just let's hope this plays. Let me hit play here. It's like, how are you in a fight when you never throw a punch back? That looks cool that you did all these moves, but at some point you gotta have some offense. That's this dude Pulyaev right here. He's dodging punches and doing whatever. He's got great foot movement. He circles out of danger whenever there's danger, but this guy brings nothing to the table. I'm telling you right now, I don't know how many fights he has under contract with the UFC, but if it's 2 or 3, I hope they let him finish it out because we're going to make a ton of money every time we see him. This is not a killer. This is not a guy. I don't give a shit who he's fighting. He's not a guy. He's very cautious. He's very defensively sound. But if you fought for 15 minutes and you landed 36 significant strikes, that's essentially 2 strikes a minute. 2 strikes a minute. That you're not real. You saw that video of the guy getting lit up in the stands. Yes, Kairos. It's a real video. I'm talking to the MVP. All right, so I went and checked the results show, and I told you guys, he's not a real fighter. And I hope they give him 2 or 3 more fights so we can fade him. But then they give him Nick Klein. They give him Nick Klein. And I'm like, I'm supposed to take Nick Klein? So pay attention. Nick Klein was a plus 700 underdog last time he was in the cage. Well, what is he now? Nick Klein is a plus 130. He didn't do anything to impress anyone. That's how bad Andrey Pulyaev was when he was last in the cage. That's how terrible Andrey Pulyaev looked in the cage. Andrey Pulyaev looked like a pacifist. He was a kickboxer. He was a striker. A vicious guy. A Russian. Well, let's talk about why are the odds this way? Well, because Pulyaev fought Christian Leroy Duncan, one of the best strikers on the planet Earth. And yes, he had paralysis by analysis. He was in there, and it was such a level up in competition, he couldn't figure out what he was doing, bro. You ever done crosswords before? Do crosswords. Do like an easy crossword puzzle. You know where you fill in all of it? It'll give you a little clue there. It'll be like rhymes with rain and hurts. And you'll be like, oh, I know that 4-letter word. Look, it's pain. Do an easy crossword puzzle. And then go do an impossible crossword puzzle. Go do a hard one. And the fucking clue is just E.T. The next clue is A.L. And you're like, what is this? And it's hieroglyphics in Latin. And you're like, what the hell? What do I know what this is? How do I know what this is? You have no clue. That's exactly what happened to Pulyaev. He got in a fight with a guy he couldn't figure out how to strike him. So I ask you, could Nick Klein fight 3 rounds with Christian Leroy Duncan? And the answer is no. Not a chance in hell can Nick Klein fight CLD for 3 rounds. As a matter of fact, he can't fight Liam Anderson for 3 rounds. Nick Klein, I think, is an incredible step down. Now, Nick Klein can do some jiu-jitsu stuff. There can be a freak accident in every single cage. That is a fact. Nick Klein's not an exceptional wrestler. He's an exceptional grappler. He is a jiu-jitsu nerd. And jiu-jitsu nerds are great once we're on the ground. That's why they pull guard, because they're comfortable being on the ground. But you know what they can't do? They can't go get a takedown because they're not great wrestlers. Wrestlers get takedowns. That's why this is MMA. You need to mix all the martial arts. We're in the clinch. You need to know how to do a throw. That's judo. Knees and elbows, that's Muay Thai. Striking and punching, that's boxing. Takedowns is wrestling. Submissions is jiu-jitsu. And once you learn every aspect of it all and you put it together, then you're a complete fighter. Nick Klein is a jiu-jitsu nerd with no wrestling ability. So he can't even get you to the position where he wants to win. He can't get you to that position. And if you go watch Andrey Pulyaev, who's 9-3, and you go watch his previous fights where he's winning by submission with arm bars, triangle chokes, and you go through this list and you start to notice everybody's last name is with an EV, an OV, an OV, an EV, an OV. These are all Russians, Sambo wrestlers. This guy can scrap. They just gave him a nightmare of a debut. And while they gave Nick Klein a nightmare of a debut, it was another prospect. CLD's not a prospect. Pulyaev looked hapless in there. He looked like he doesn't belong at the upper echelon. That's cool. Nick Klein looks like he doesn't belong in the UFC. I'm having to convince myself that Pulyev's going to come out here, pull the trigger, strike better. And remember, he's left-handed. He's a southpaw. I don't think Nick Klein fights traditionally enough to where he can get in the gym and train and get this habit out of him. You guys don't know what his habit is. He leans a lot. Leans to one side more than the other. This is a dream for people who can kick. Guess what Andrey Pulyaev can do? He can kick. So if you try to get the lean out of him, they're like, hey, you're fighting a kickboxer. For this fight, we don't want you to lean because you might catch a kick to the head. So then he goes out there and he starts to train to keep himself upright. And now he's focused on that. What happens when you get fatigued? All the training goes out the window and you're back to muscle memory. And his muscle memory, Nick Klein's, is to lean, to be a jiu-jitsu nerd, and he's not really about that life. If you have to bet on that guy because he might throw a spinning back elbow to land, I want you to think about how many fights have ended with spinning back. It can happen. But the number of fights that end with spinning back elbows is so minute that everybody makes a big deal out of it every time it happens. So, you already saw the thing here. I'm going to put an RK next to it. And the reason I'm putting an RK next to it, it's not that it's a lock. I'm putting RK next to it because I think that my analysis in this particular fight is unique. I think that I know who's going to win. Even though I said we're fading him every single time, he's going to be terrible for the next 2 fights. I know that his level of competition is so much better than anything Nick Klein's done. And Nick Klein has no skill set to actually put pressure on Pulyaev in the stand-up to make him think and worry about it. Like Nick Klein, he's going to throw a feint. He's going to throw little feints here and there to get him to... He's not going to react to those feints. Those feints aren't real. You're just mimicking shadow boxing. You're doing what the women do. It's not real. So I'll take Pulyaev. Now, I said all this to tell you that both these dudes are absolute bums. You've heard my analysis from about both of them, and I've said it in 4K. Pulyaev ain't shit, doesn't bring the fight to anybody, not an ass kicker, not mean. He threw 30 strikes in 15 minutes. Do you trust a guy who shows up to a fight as a professional, only throws 30 strikes in 15 minutes? I don't. So I'm picking it. I'm putting my initials next to it. But it's a pick. There is not a dollar in the world I'd put on that guy. It's just a pick. I feel confident about it, but it's just a pick. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.